Hello friends, welcome to another episode of Fintalks. In today's episode, I am going to discuss with you the three important thumb rules of investing. So if you guys don't know about these important three thumb rules, you will not be successful in your life. So if you want to improve your financial independence journey, you have to learn all the three thumb rules and make sure that you are following them in your life. So if you guys have not subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so when I upload new videos, you will get notified for sure. So once again, welcome back to Fintalks. This is Alex Jacob. Rule number one, identifying the saving and investment correctly. A lot of people are actually saving their money thinking that they are investing their own money. They keep the money in bank FDs, they keep the money in post office deposits, but they think that they are investing their own money, but actually they are saving their money. So what is the definition of saving? Saving is nothing but you are keeping aside your money or the surplus cash which you have, you are keeping it aside for some emergency purposes at a later point of time. So that is what the definition of saving. The problem with the saving is that that money is not actually growing. So it's almost like you are keeping a paper there for years and after 10 years, 20 years, it will be the same thing and it is not growing on its own. So that's the problem with the saving. So you stop doing saving and start investing. When I try to explain the difference between the saving and investing, a lot of people still argues that they invested their money in the bank, they invested their money in the post office, they are getting a very good returns from the bank or post office. But you need to clearly understand one point. We never use the terminology invest when we put the money in the bank or post office. We use it as deposit. That is why we used to tell I deposited money in the bank, I deposited money in the post office. We never say I invested money in the bank or I invested money in the post office. The reason is we are not actually investing, we are only saving our money there for some later purpose. So it's just like when some unexpected situation comes in your life, you want that money. So you don't want to take any risk with that money. So there is no harm in keeping your money in the bank or post office. But I would recommend only to keep the 3x or 6x of your expenses. 3 times or 6 times of your expenses, you can keep in your bank or post office. So if you want some money as an emergency, you can pull that money without any risk, right? So that is the whole point of keeping money in the bank and post office. But don't think that if you keep a lot of money in the bank and that interest is going to make you rich overnight. So that will never ever happen. Even if you keep 1 CR or 50 lakhs in your bank account, that is not going to give you any decent returns. Why I am telling you is that the inflation in our market is around 6 to 7% and the banks are not giving you a better returns than that. I can show you the proof of interest rate. Just look at this chart. The banks has reduced the interest rate to a greater extent over the last years. So do we think that they will increase the interest rate in the coming years? It's not going to possible. It will definitely come down even further to 1% or 2%. That's how it is in the Western countries. So there is no point in keeping your money in the bank. But there is no harm in keeping your money in the bank if it is enough for your emergency purpose. So keep that money in the bank, but rest of the money or the surplus cash, you must invest. A lot of people are not investing their money for the sole reason that they cannot take the risk. They trust the banks a lot and they keep all their money in the bank. They will give you a namesake returns, but do you think that that namesake return is sufficient enough to make you rich in your financial independence journey? So trust me, if you can't afford even a small percentage of risk in the investment, you will not be successful in your financial independence journey. So what is the definition of investing? Investing is the process of using your money to make more money. That means simply money should grow on its own. That is, money should make money babies. If you are not allowing the money to make its own babies, there is no point of having a lot of money with you, right? Because if you keep it in a bank or in a postal saving scheme, that money will not grow. So you should invest your money wisely and it should give you a returns better than the current inflation in the market. Then that is the only point where you will reach your financial independence. So if you are not doing or if you are not investing your money, then it is not going to make any sense. We have different investment opportunities around us. We have mutual funds, we have stocks, we have rental properties. So it's up to you what kind of investment you have to choose. It completely depends on how much money you have or how much capital you have for investment and what is the kind of risk you want to take in your investment. So it's completely depend on that, and make sure you at least start with some investment as early as possible, because the only key is the time. So if you have more investment horizon with you, then you will really make a lot of money. So stop saving your money and start investing your money. Rule number 2, correctly identifying the assets and liabilities. So by definition, what is an asset? Asset is nothing but what keeps you money in your pocket can be considered as an asset. And what is a liability? Liability is what takes money out of your pocket. So you should have clear understanding on what is asset and what is liability. This is the most real world and practical definition of asset and liabilities. But the commerce books will teach you a different story about assets and liabilities. I will give you a simple example. A lot of people thinks that their own house is an asset. A Mercedes-Benz car which they bought is a prestigious asset for them, but they are actually liabilities. In today's world, people are actually buying liabilities instead of assets, thinking that these are all assets. But that's a wrong thing they are doing in their life. So don't buy liabilities, buy the real assets which keeps money in your pocket. If you buy a own house for staying, what kind of money it is putting in your pocket? Just think from that perspective. You might need to repair that house, you might need to paint that house, so all the money is actually going out of your pocket, right? So what money is coming into your pocket? So the house which you purchased for your own stay cannot be considered as an asset. And the car, of course, you will have depreciation, you will have all the service, insurance, everything is coming, right? So the money is going out of your pocket. What money it is giving in your pocket? So it cannot be considered as an asset. It is a clear liability. So a lot of people still thinks these kind of things are their asset. There used to be a debate between me and my father. He still claims that the own house is an asset for him, and I used to claim that that own house is a liability for me. The reason is that is not actually generating any cash flow for me. So I cannot consider it as an asset as per my definition. But every year I have to pay tax for that. I have to repair that house, I have to paint that house. So the money is actually going out of my pocket. So as per my definition or the practical definition of liability, it suits with that, right? That's why I am calling own house is a liability. But maybe you can purchase that liability if you can afford it, and there is no harm for that. At one point, if you feel like you want your own house, you can purchase it, understanding that it is a liability. So don't think it is an asset, it is a liability only. But if you really want that liability, you can purchase it if you can afford it. So what all are the good examples of assets? You can maybe consider the rental properties. They give you a good returns on a monthly basis to your pocket, so that can be considered as a good asset. Or maybe you can invest in some stocks which is regularly paying you some dividends. So these and all you can consider as good asset classes which you should make in your financial journey. And stop paying for all these liabilities, all the loans, bad debts, and all this car, own house, all these are actually liabilities. You can purchase it if you are capable of doing it. Till that moment, don't waste your money, and don't think that you are buying an asset by actually purchasing a liability. So that's the real difference between the rich people and the poor people, because the middle class poor people are actually spending all their money on this kind of liabilities, assuming they are buying asset classes. So stop doing that mistake. Clearly identify what is an asset and what is a liability. Rule number 3, understand the compounding principle. Once Einstein has said, it is the eighth wonder of the world, and he who understands it earns it, and he who doesn't pays it. Why he told like that is, the guy who really understands the concept of compounding, he will invest his money and wait for years and years to grow that money. The real power of compounding is it's an exponential graph. Maybe in the initial years you will not see any difference in your money, but it will grow at the last years. You can see a exponential growth to your money. That's what the real power of compounding. But when it comes to the poor people or the middle class people, right, they don't have that much patience to keep invested for longer investment horizon. They'll just their maximum investment period is 5 years. That itself they are trying to cut short to 2 years or 3 years. So you should have patience to invest your money. You should have to wait for another 10 to 20 years to really grow your money. So that is the real power of compounding. And if you are not understanding this power, or if you are not patient enough, the second part of his statement, he who doesn't understand it pays it, because you are taking loans and you are paying hell lot of money to the banks in compounding. You just look at the example of a house loan. Maybe in the initial days you're just paying, you keep on paying the EMIs, right? And at the end of that loan, when you close that loan, just look at the amount you would have paid. Maybe if you're taking a 50 lakhs house loan, you would have ended up paying more than 1 CR to the bank. Whatever be your investment, whether it is a stock market or mutual fund, you have to wait for another 10-20 years. What the problem with the middle class is, they are not patient enough, or they cannot wait for these 10-20 years. They just wait for 2 to 5 years max, and that is the problem with the middle class and the poor class. They are not investing for years and years. So the real principle or the real formula of compounding is working only when you invest for longer years, maybe 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Instead, the middle class and the poor class, they are very aggressive in buying liabilities. So that's the reason they are not becoming rich. Let's consider this example. Suppose if somebody have invested the same amount of money in an account where it is paying a simple interest and another account which is paying a compound interest. Now you can see in the initial years, it is not actually paying a good returns to him. But when it comes to the final years, you can see a drastic difference in the returns. The only reason is because of the real power of compounding. If you analyze the formula of compounding, you can see it is not the rate of interest or it is not the principal amount. It's actually the tenure you are investing. So that longer the tenure, you will get a huge, enormous returns in compounding. So try to understand this power of compounding. That's why Albert Einstein has told it is the eighth wonder of the world. So the only key to the success is stay invested for a longer period of time. The real problem with the middle class and the poor class is the moment they see any emergency in their life, the first thing they will be doing is breaking their investment. Let it be their FD or mutual fund or stock market or whatever it is, they'll first break that investment and take the money out. Instead, I would recommend you to have a separate emergency fund for you rather than breaking your investment all the time. So I hope you guys have liked my video. If you liked the video, give a big thumbs up to the video, and if you have not subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that when I upload new videos, you will get notified. So next week I'll come up with another fruitful video. Till then, Alex Jacob signing off.